This story takes place in the city of Riverside, California, located in the southwestern United States. Riverside is characterized by its downtown area, with main streets primarily residential, while some factories are located in the suburbs. The main character of the story is Emily Sanders, a law student at the University of California, Riverside. She lives with her parents in their home on the border between Riverside and Corona. On the morning of Saturday, April 9, 2022, local police received a call from a concerned parent. The caller reported that his daughter, Emily, had gone out to a party the night before, but had not returned home. This had never happened before, and her phone was unreachable. He was very worried that something bad might have happened to his daughter and asked for police assistance in searching for her. After receiving the report, police went to the caller's home to gather information. The couple explained that their daughter was a university student, with her school less than 6 miles from home, so she usually returned home every evening. Emily was born in September 2003 in Riverside County and was 18 years old. She wasn't the biological child of the reporting couple. They had adopted her when she was 16 months old. Both parents were experienced lawyers who ran a local law firm together and had a good income. They loved and doted on their daughter, fulfilling almost all of her requests since she was young. Emily had always been intelligent and studious. Influenced by her parents, she had been admitted to university to study law, just like her father. Like other girls her age, Emily enjoyed makeup, fashion, and socializing. In her free time, she often liked to go to parties with friends. Emily's parents continued to tell the police that around 11 p.m. the previous night, a girl had come to pick up their daughter for a party. A few hours later, they couldn't contact their daughter. Initially, the couple thought she was having fun, couldn't answer the phone. However, by this morning, their daughter still hadn't returned home, and her phone was still unreachable. They didn't know where their daughter had gone, and weren't familiar with the girl who had picked her up. They only knew her name was Sarah. Sarah, 20 years old, was also a university student. Police quickly found Sarah, who stated that she had met Emily online 3 months ago. After that, they had attended a few parties together, but weren't close friends. The day before, Emily had texted her, inviting her to hang out because the next day was Saturday, and they had no school. Sarah agreed. At 10:47 p.m., Sarah called a ride to Emily's house. After picking up Emily, they drove for about 10 minutes before picking up another girl named Yvonne. Around 11:30 p.m., the three arrived in downtown Riverside. They stopped at a convenience store in the city center and bought a bottle of vodka, a bottle of soda, some disposable cups, and ice. Then they walked to a friend's house on Bolivar Street where a party was taking place. At the party, they drank alcohol and played games. The atmosphere was very lively and everyone was having fun. At 12:49 a.m., Emily suddenly said she wanted to leave, stating that this party was a bit boring and she wanted to change locations to continue partying. Sarah found this a bit strange, but Emily was very insistent, so she and Yvonne had to go along with Emily. They left and continued walking to another party, but were refused entry. With no other option, they had to find another place. Sarah then called a white Kia through a ride-hailing app at 1 a.m. They got in the car and drove to Corona, about 4 miles from Riverside, where there was a house hosting a party. Let's call this place house number 1. Before getting out of the car, Sarah asked for the driver's phone number in case they needed a ride later. When they arrived, they discovered that the party at this house had ended. A group of people informed them that there was another house nearby also hosting a party. Let's call that place house number 2. Upon investigation, it was found that the host of the party at house number 2 had refused to allow strangers to participate. However, Sarah, Emily, and Yvonne still decided to go there to try their luck. The group of people who had given them directions also went along. The distance between the two houses was very close, less than 100 yards. When they arrived, the party host indeed refused to let them join, but after some persuasion, he agreed. Initially, everything was normal. They were having fun and playing around, but not long after, Emily began to exhibit unusual behavior. She was not only shouting, but also running back and forth by the pool. This behavior attracted the attention of others at the party. Sarah and Yvonne thought Emily was drunk, so they tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen. She even locked herself in the men's bathroom. People tried hard to console Emily before she reluctantly opened the bathroom door and came out with an angry look on her face. However, not long after, she returned and continued shouting. This behavior made others feel uncomfortable. Sarah felt embarrassed, so she pulled Emily away from the party. Unexpectedly, Emily went berserk, running outside. Her emotions became increasingly intense, her mouth constantly swearing, and she even kicked Sarah, who was trying to calm her down. At 3:29 a.m., Sarah contacted the previous driver to pick them up. After Emily got into the car, Sarah asked the driver to take her home safely. Then Sarah and Yvonne called another car to go home. Initially, Sarah thought everything was over. Unexpectedly, the driver later texted her saying that Emily had been screaming like a madwoman in the car and even tried to open the car door to jump out. With no other choice, the driver had to pull over to the side of the road and push Emily out of the car. Sarah begged the driver not to leave Emily alone on the road, but the driver said Emily had refused his help, so he was helpless. Afterward, Sarah tried to find contact information for Emily's family through her social media accounts, but was unsuccessful. She began to comfort herself, thinking that after getting out of the car, Emily would surely call another car to go home. However, the reality was that Emily did not return home that night. No one knew where she had gone. Sarah's statement was confirmed by Yvonne. Yvonne told the police that she had never known Emily before, having only met her at that party, though she didn't know much about her. However, she felt that Emily was a person with an unpredictable temperament and became very agitated after drinking alcohol, refusing to listen to anyone's advice. Based on the clues provided by the two, police extracted surveillance camera footage along the route they took to the party. At 11:30 p.m. on Saturday, surveillance cameras recorded images of the three buying items at a convenience store in Riverside. Emily was the one who paid. Bolivar Street, where their first party took place, had no surveillance cameras, so no images of them were recorded there. However, the police were able to extract surveillance footage from outside house number 2 in Corona. The surveillance images showed that at 1:20 a.m. on Sunday, the three arrived near house number 2 by car. After getting out of the car, they walked a short distance to house number 1. A minute later, they returned to house number 2 with another group of people. Just 9 minutes later, Emily walked out of house number 2 alone and disappeared from the frame. Then, 4 men walked towards the house, repeatedly looking back in the direction Emily had left. After that, Emily returned to house number 2. The 4 men stood still for quite a while before leaving. It can be speculated that they were attracted by Emily's beautiful appearance and wanted to approach her, didn't have the opportunity. More than an hour later, at 2:45 a.m., Emily appeared again in the camera frame. Behind her was a man wearing a white shirt. The man ran quickly to Emily's face, blocking her path as she went to the edge of the road. The man also closely followed behind. In the frame, Emily appeared very agitated, repeatedly using her hands to push the man, trying to escape his pursuit. However, the man still followed Emily. Emily turned around and used her foot to kick him. At this point, 2 passersby walked by and saw them arguing, so they came over to intervene. Then more and more people came to intervene, including Sarah and Yvonne. At 3:54 a.m., Emily got into a white Kia. Sarah was the person talking to the driver. Then the car drove away, and the crowd on the street dispersed. The content recorded by the camera completely matched Sarah's statement. The police also checked the chat history between Sarah and the driver, confirming that her statement was true. The police found the driver, named Henry, 46 years old, to take his statement. Henry stated that around 4 a.m. that day, Emily had gotten into his car in a very drunk and emotionally agitated state. She kept fidgeting and wanting to get out of the car to return to where she had just been. Henry helplessly had to stop the car and patiently talk to Emily for a few minutes, hoping she would calm down. However, Emily wouldn't listen at all. Thinking it was unsafe to leave a young girl alone on the road, Henry had to continue driving. Then Henry suggested Emily call her family, but she said her phone had run out of battery and turned off. Seeing this, Henry offered the charger in the car to Emily, but she shouted that she didn't need it. However, immediately after, Emily suddenly crawled from the back seat to the front passenger seat, took the charger and connected it to her phone. She tried to turn it on, but because the battery was too weak, she tried again and again without success. After that, Emily became agitated again, saying she didn't want to go home and asked Henry to take her to another party. Henry insisted on taking Emily home and asked for her address, but she refused to answer and even tried to jump out of the car. Helpless, Henry had to contact Sarah. After learning the address, Henry continued driving. Unexpectedly, Emily in the car couldn't sit still and insisted on getting out. Fearing that Emily would do something extreme, Henry had to stop the car. After Emily got out of the car, Henry contacted Sarah again and took a picture of Emily standing on the road. Henry tried to persuade Emily to get back in the car, but she ignored him. So Henry had to drive away because he didn't want to get into trouble. In the photo, Emily had her hair down, wore a black mask, black canvas shoes, and carried a black shoulder bag. Next, police extracted surveillance camera footage around the area where Emily last got out of the car. The surveillance camera of an international transport company by the road captured images at 4:28 a.m. on April 9. After getting out of the car, Emily wandered alone in the middle of the road. Occasionally, cars passed by at high speed, which was very dangerous. After wandering for a while, Emily began to slowly cross the road, walking towards the transport company. Emily approached the security room of the transport company, looked inside as if wanting to enter, then disappeared from the camera's view. Since the surveillance camera didn't capture any images of driver Henry, he was temporarily removed from the list of suspects. The police watched the surveillance video over and over again and suspected that Emily might have seen something when passing by the transport company, or she might have wanted to enter the company to ask for help. In short, police believed that Emily's disappearance might be related to that transport company. Therefore, they went to the company and met with the person in charge. After watching the surveillance video, this person said they didn't know Emily at all, and nothing unusual had happened in the company that day. According to the time recorded on the camera, there was no one on duty in the security room at that time, so it's unclear why Emily looked towards the security room. The police speculated that Emily might have wanted to enter the security room to seek help. But seeing no one there, she went elsewhere to find someone to help. After asking for permission, the police investigated the people working at the transport company. An employee provided them with an important clue. He said that not far from the company, there was an abandoned restaurant. Emily might have gone there. Observing the surveillance camera, it could be seen that Emily's direction of movement was indeed towards that abandoned restaurant. Behind the restaurant, there was also a motel. Emily might have gone there as well. Then the police went to the motel to investigate. The motel owner said they had never seen Emily. None of the guests staying there that day had seen her either. A motel employee revealed that the restaurant next door had only been abandoned recently, and its surveillance equipment might still be working. Then the police discovered that the surveillance equipment of the abandoned restaurant was still operational, so they checked the camera footage from that day and made some discovery. The restaurant had a cylindrical structure with a surveillance camera inside the restaurant pointing straight out the window. The streetlight shone in, clearly recording Lee walking past at 4:35 a.m. that day. Emily appeared and ran past the small window. The surveillance camera at the entrance of the motel showed that at 4:35 a.m., Emily was running frantically towards the restaurant, as if someone was chasing her. However, upon closer inspection, it seemed that no one was chasing her. This behavior of Emily's was very strange. A minute later, Emily appeared in the frame of the restaurant's surveillance camera. It could be seen that Emily initially looked inside the restaurant. After discovering there was no one, she immediately ran away. Then, Emily went into the camera's blind spot. Based on Emily's running direction, it could be speculated that she had run around the restaurant after discovering she couldn't get inside. 20 minutes later, Emily appeared again in the restaurant's surveillance camera, walking towards the side of the restaurant. From then on, she no longer appeared in any surveillance camera. Police speculated that Emily might have met with misfortune after 4:56 a.m. on April 9th. They went to the scene where Emily last disappeared, at the side of the restaurant, to check the situation. There was a wall there with an abandoned swimming pool inside. Below another wall were 3 sewer outlets in a straight line, the first 2 not covered, and the third one covered. Was it possible that Emily had climbed over the wall to get inside? This hypothesis was quickly dismissed. Reason was that after measuring, the wall was 8.5 feet high with barbed wire on top. Emily was 5.5 inch tall, and there were no handholds on the wall, making it almost impossible for her to climb over by herself. On the second day after the incident, police expanded the search area using drones and search dogs, but still found no results. News of Emily's mysterious disappearance spread, attracting more and more attention. People felt uneasy because Emily wasn't the first woman to disappear in the area. The road where Emily got out of the car was called Death Road by local. More than 20 women had disappeared near this road. Some people suspected that this might be related to criminal gangs in the area. They were familiar with the terrain and often targeted young women traveling alone. After the incident, Emily's parents actively cooperated with the police investigation and called on relatives and friends to search for their daughter together. They printed many flyers and posters to search for people, distributing them to passersby. Some volunteers also participated in the search. While everyone was actively searching, a high-ranking California government official made a statement. He suggested that the missing girls were all due to their love of partying, not listening to their parents, and often going out alone at night, which caused so much trouble. This statement immediately caused a wave of anger. People unanimously criticized the official for being too cold and insensitive. 6 days after the incident, the police offered a $5,000 reward for anyone providing useful information. They also mobilized more than 200 police officers to conduct several searches at the restaurant and nearby motel. On April 21st, 12 days after Emily's disappearance, 10 p.m., a motel employee complained to the motel owner that he had been smelling a strange odor recently, seemingly coming from the water tank of the restaurant in front. Hearing this, the motel owner immediately realized there was a problem and reported it to the police. The police quickly arrived at the scene. They discovered that the foul smell was indeed coming from the 3 water tanks under the wall. Then they found a body in the uncovered water tank. The mouth of the water tank was 3.2 feet long, 3 feet wide, and 14.4 feet deep. At the time of discovery, the water level in the tank was not high, only about 3 feet. The middle part of the 3 water tanks, at a depth of about 6.5 to 10 feet, was connected. The lower it went, the more separate it became. The space below was wider, reaching 6.1 feet. When found, Emily was in a head-down, feet-up position. The police took a long time to bring the body ashore. Due to being submerged in water for too long, the body was swollen. However, the police could still identify the victim as Emily Sanders, 18 years old, who had been missing for over 10 days, based on the clothes on her body and the cross necklace around her neck. Inside the bag was a black mask, a red plastic box, a bra, and 2 coats. In the second uncovered water tank next to it, police retrieved an orange lighter, keychain, a black mobile phone, wallet, plastic box. The next day, the police released part of the forensic report. DNA matching confirmed that the victim was indeed Emily Sanders. The cause of death was determined to be head trauma. Time of death was estimated to be from April 8th to April 9th. The police did not release any other details, stating that Emily had been drunk in the early hours of that day, lost control of herself, and fell into the water tank, leading to a head injury. The case was basically determined to be an accident. However, Emily's parents could not accept this conclusion. Police had not made the entire forensic report public, and some important information might have been concealed. After Emily's disappearance, the police had searched that restaurant several times, even using drones and search dogs, failed to discover her body so close by. This was hard to believe. Police's hasty conclusion that Emily died due to an accident gave reason to believe that they had been careless and were merely putting on a show for the media, not truly investigating the case seriously. The public was extremely angry and shocked by the police's irresponsible attitude. People unanimously spoke out in support of Emily's parents, demanding a thorough investigation of the case. Under public pressure, 2 days later, the case was declared to continue investigation as a homicide. The investigation was handed over to the district attorney's office, specializing in crimes against women. At the same time, Emily's parents requested a second autopsy. They believed their daughter had been murdered and then dumped in the water tank, and they were determined to bring the perpetrator to justice. 17 days after the incident, a surveillance video was unexpectedly leaked online. The video was shot from a different angle outside house number 2, possibly recorded by nearby resident. Images in the video showed that at 4:17 a.m., Henry stopped the car by the road not far from the house. At this time, Emily was sitting in the passenger seat. Two were talking in the car. Emily was gesturing something with her hands. A moment later, Henry reached his hand towards Emily's chest, then pulled it back. Next, Emily began to become agitated. She kept gesturing with both hands and pushed Henry away several times. It seemed as if Emily was questioning something, while Henry lowered his head onto the steering wheel and remained motionless. After the video was released, it once again caused a storm of public opinion. Emily's parents, after watching the video, said that their daughter was usually very calm and had never had such sudden loss of control. Henry reached into our daughter's chest, they said. We suspect that Henry saw Emily was drunk and wanted to take advantage of her. After being rejected, he got angry and developed murderous intentions. Although previous surveillance cameras showed that Henry was not present at the scene where Emily's body was found, this did not rule out the possibility that he had returned to the scene to commit the crime. Henry frequently visited that area. It wouldn't be difficult for him to avoid surveillance cameras if he wanted to. Investigation revealed that Henry was not a law-abiding citizen. Not long before Emily's disappearance, Henry had been arrested for drug possession. Moreover, he had a previous record of harassing women and was a frequent visitor to the police station. Someone with such a bad record was entirely capable of murdering others. One day after the video was leaked, Henry responded to media interviews. He showed the entire chat history with Sarah from that day for everyone to see and described the details of the incident. Henry said he had never harassed women. Those were all baseless rumors. He wasn't that kind of person. In the video, his hand seemed to be touching Emily's chest, but he had no other intentions. He was just handing her the phone charger. Due to the angle of the video, it looked like he had bad intentions. In the early morning of that day, when Emily got into his car, she was in a very bad state, talking nonsense and emotionally agitated. She looked like she had been drugged. She kept complaining to him about her friends, saying that the girls who went to the party with her were all very fake. She became more and more agitated as she spoke, which is why she kept gesturing with her hands. Then Emily insisted on getting out of the car in the middle of the road. He tried to persuade her but failed and had to let her out. He never expected that she would lose her life like that. Henry said he was very distressed by the comments online. Everyone thought he was the murderer. He was completely innocent. That's why he decided to come forward to clarify everything. 1 month after the incident, Emily's ID card was discovered by a resident in an apartment building 10 miles from the crime scene. This resident said that while walking his dog in the morning, he saw the card in a nearby flower bed. Because Emily's case had been widely reported in the media, he immediately recognized who the person in the photo was. It's very likely that the perpetrator had discarded the ID card here after committing the crime. However, at this point, it was very difficult to find any more clues. Later, in Corona, 15 more surveillance videos related to Emily appeared continuously. Among them, one video caught the attention of Emily's parent. Video was shot from the motel behind the abandoned restaurant. Content of the video seemed to be advertising the motel's facilities, but there was a shot pointing directly at room 174. This shot looked very strange, as if hinting at some. Police conducted another search of the motel. The search lasted 7 hours. They extracted more surveillance footage from the motel and conducted an inspection with forensic lights in room 174, found nothing unusual. Then, Emily's parents asked the police to search the transport company next door again. This time, they discovered that a surveillance camera in the company had lost data for about 8 to 9 minutes. Emily's parents believed that the missing video might be related to their daughter's death. However, the police did not provide any explanation for this missing video, and the matter faded into oblivion. On May 13th, the second forensic report was released. There were multiple wounds on Emily's body. Her head had been hit several times with a blunt object. There were bruises on her forehead, eyes, nose, left lip, and above her ear. She had been assaulted before death. There was no fluid in her respiratory tract and lungs, indicating that she had died before falling into the water tank. This information, once released, immediately ignited the long-suppressed wave of anger in the public. They believed that the police had concealed the truth, lacked responsibility, and wanted to quickly close the case without a serious investigation. Hundreds of women in the area took to the streets to protest. Soon, the wave of anger spread to many other cities in California. Many people responded and participated in this widespread protest. It drew public attention to the problem of missing women in the United States. Each year in the United States, hundreds to thousands of women mysteriously disappear. Emily was just one of them. Everyone sympathized with Emily's fate. Many people voluntarily came to the crime scene to lay flowers and light candles, wearing purple ribbons to remember the unfortunate young girl. The governor of California sent his deep condolences to Emily's parents and promised to investigate the case thoroughly, bring justice to the young girl. On June 16, the governor announced in a morning press conference that a third autopsy would be conducted on Emily, with the participation of several FBI experts. On June 30th, Emily's body, which had been buried by then, was exhumed for investigation purposes. The results of the third autopsy were released the next day. Emily was determined to have died from asphyxiation due to multiple causes obstructing her airway. There were no signs of violence or assault, time of death. This conclusion completely contradicted the previous one. The latest conclusion suggested that Emily had accidentally fallen into the water tank and drowned. As no new clues were found, Emily's parents believed that the two girls who went out with their daughter that night, Sarah and Yvonne, should bear some responsibility. Later, Sarah and Yvonne participated in a television interview together. The two said that since Emily's death, they had been under great psychological pressure. Everyone criticized them for abandoning their friend. Some even cursed and insulted them on social media, seriously affecting their lives. "We offered to help Emily several times that night, but she refused," Sarah and Yvonne said. "We tried our best to help her. No one wanted things to turn out this way. We didn't expect everything to become so terrible. If we had known, we would have definitely taken her home. We are very sorry to Emily's parents, but that's all we could do." On Emily's birthday in 2023, her father posted on social media, "Today, heaven and the angels are all celebrating because our little princess would have turned 20. Now you have been surrounded by angels and stars, becoming the guardian angel of our family. Every time you play in the rainbow, we can hear your voice. Mom and Dad love you very much, Emily." This is one of the most attention-grabbing criminal cases in recent U.S. history. To this day, there is still no satisfactory answer to the question of whether Emily's death was an accident or murder. Public opinion remains divided, everyone having their own opinion. The case has become an unsolved mystery. To this day, Emily's parents still cannot get over the pain of losing their child, are still tirelessly seeking the truth. However, the truth may forever remain in darkness. The case of Emily Sanders, like hundreds of other cases of missing women in the United States, remains a painful wound, an unending plea for justice and truth. Whatever the final conclusion may be, the image of the beautiful young girl full of life, forever stopped at the age of 18 on that empty road, still haunts the minds of American citizens. Emily's story has become a symbol of the fear and insecurity that so many women in this country face. It serves as a painful reminder of the reality of gender-based violence, the negligence of law enforcement agencies, and a society still full of injustices that need to be voiced and fought to change. Although they cannot bring Emily back, her family, friends, and supporters continue to light the flame of hope, continuing the journey to seek justice for the young girl. They believe that only when the perpetrators are punished, when American society no longer has death roads, will Emily and countless other unfortunate victims truly rest in peace.